Good morning, Craig. Thank you for joining us today on Business Spotlight Series.
Oh,
Craig,
thank you very much for bringing me on today.
a pleasure, a real pleasure. Craig is a managing director of the Home Hub Group. They are property experts throughout central Scotland and also provide financial services with residential and commercial lending. So, Craig, can you tell us a little bit more of what you do and how you've been doing it for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I own the Home Hub, as you introduced. It's a financial services and property business. We started off a couple of years ago, and the whole idea was to provide a 360 service for home movers. We would provide not only the lending and mortgages, but would also either allow somebody to purchase, or we would sell their homes, and we would also provide the legal conveyancing. I think it's quite a fragmented process, which if you go to, the start of the journey, for instance, if you go to sell your house, you're then having to think about, what's the next steps? Who do I need to speak to? And usually, because people do say it's the most stressful time of anybody's life is moving home, they don't know who to pick up with, whether it's somebody within the legal business or within an estate agency as well. So we try to do everything in the one, and it just provides a much leaner process. And because of the way we do it, there's economies of scale, if you like, so it becomes a cheaper proposition for people using our services. So yeah, it certainly was an idea that was born out of our own experience.
Wow, so it's a bit of a one-stop shop for
It is.
clients,
It
yes.
is. It absolutely is. We also do some rentals ourselves as well. So we've got a property business which also caters for disabled tenants. It kind of ranges from people with mobility issues right through to families coping with autistic children. So we range from 2 bedrooms up to 4 bedroom properties. And there's certain adaptations made to the properties in order to ensure that it caters for the tenants' needs. So really that's one of our key passions, because we're dealing with these tenants on a daily and a weekly basis, because it's not just a vanilla rentals.
Yes.
It's more down to people's, real life issues, I suppose.
Wonderful. That's a very nice niche, if you like, within the business, which is very interesting and very good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Craig, when you were growing up, was this what you always wanted to do, or how did it come about?
No, I suppose growing up, I think I wanted to be a police officer, if memory serves me
I wanted
correctly.
to be a fireman. Yeah.
So when I was, I suppose, at school age, well, young school age, I think during the 1980s, there was always programs in America, TV stuff, all about police officers, and that was always what I wanted, whether it was toys or, and to be that type of role, I suppose. But as you grow up, you've certainly got. It's funny. It's different objectives. Where I kind of started was I started on an insurance company. Loved it. Was there for about 20 years before I started thinking about starting up on my own. And it was always something I wanted to do, which was to have my own business. And probably the pandemic, it only took a small pandemic in order to get me kicked into gear and start my own.
Well, very interesting. And do you have any role model in business or outside business that has inspired you to set up your own business?
Oh, that's a great question. I suppose probably from my point of view, you know, looking at some of the pioneers, certainly from Scotland, etc. That there was always a lot of business owners which I looked at. Andrew Carnegie was one, an industrialist that moved from Scotland over to America and became the wealthiest man in history. But probably currently the biggest impact is probably Elon Musk. And whether you like Elon Musk, you like him or you dislike him, what you can say is that the guy, what he's achieved and how he's reinvented either electric cars, SpaceX, Twitter, God, there just doesn't seem to be any bounds to the guy's skill. But the reason why I like him is he's not only just a business owner. You can dabble in stocks and shares. Sometimes people can fall lucky onto some path that they're on, but for Elon, he's more of an inventor. He's developing new technologies, and he's trying to start off his own revolution. And like Andrew Carnegie, he's become the richest man in the world. And if that is what you dictate success is, then he's certainly been successful. But it's more than just his stock value and his net worth. It's down to the work ethic. The fact that his business, all of his businesses almost went bust on a number of occasions, but he persevered. He's looked at new novel ways of developing, which was an electric car. And hands up, I'm a Tesla car driver. Love the car, but an electric car was about 100 years ago, so he didn't invent it, he's reinvented it, and changed the whole concept. So
Yes.
I don't know if I would say that I'm the biggest fan of Elon Musk in terms of personalities, but I'm definitely a massive supporter of what he does.
Yes, well, you mentioned there a key word, which is he persevered, and I think that's a common trend with anybody who has built something worthwhile building. They persevered. It didn't go right first time round. So yes. Now tell me, Craig, what learnings have you had since you became a business owner that you would like to share with the business community in your own?
Oh yeah. And in terms of learnings, I suppose the biggest thing I could probably take is that you have to be open to change. When I started off the business, the one piece that we were going to be doing was to provide properties for disabled users. That was all I was going to do. And it's funny that as you start working in certain industries, you find new opportunities. So, for me, the biggest learning is that you have to stay open to change. I think you have to look at where the industries and where opportunities lie. And I think for us, it was about, kicking off that first initial step which was the estate agency. And then we found that the legal part of it was going to be what clients required, because it was too difficult kind of going between all of them. And then what we found was that people would quite quickly, through the process, sometimes find that they were not given finance for their purchase. And it's because maybe one lender would say no to them, whereas we've now got over 100 financial service deals, which means we're not restricted to one lender. We can look and make sure that it fits people's needs. So it was almost, how do we create? It was like Lego blocks. We were putting one in place every time, and looking and putting yourself in a customer's shoes or a client's shoes. Then you would see, well, actually, this is what would make life easier. And we're finding that even now that we're adding complexity to what we're doing, So I think that's probably the biggest learning, is being adaptive to what the client and what the market and where it takes you, I suppose.
Okay, very interesting. And related to that, what are the biggest issues you've had to overcome? in the past 2 years as a business owner?
I suppose, like everybody else, I think the biggest thing is probably COVID. So we launched during COVID, or just before COVID, and probably the big parts to that was, what do we need to do in order to survive? Because COVID meant survival. And what we did was we put a lot of our big project plans on hold. And, whether that was recruitment and bringing in new business or buying properties within our kind of tenancy part to the process. So we've obviously just had to be adaptive. So that would, what I would suggest, has been definitely the most difficult part of it. But if you're able to build a business initially during such a turbulent outlook for most businesses, then I think everything else thereafter should be plain sailing. But as a business owner, you wake up every day and
Yes.
you never know what's round the corner. So you never get too confident, you never get too cocky, as they say. You just you plan as best you can, and you've just got to be adaptive.
What does the future look like for you, and in the main challenges moving forward post-COVID?
For moving forward, the future, is about developing and growing the strategy we've got just now. So it really just is about increasing our headcount. At the moment, we've got a relatively small but very skilled team. So in the future, we expect to be increasing by threefold. So we expect to, before the end of the year, to be at around 20 advisors for financial services. Now, the financial service part to the business is the lifeblood. That's the epicenter of what we do. That's every time we have a conversation with a client, we get organic opportunities to do property, and we also do the legal work as well on it. And so the future really is about acorn to tree for us, which is, if it's a first time buyer, we want to do everything. We want to get the mortgage for them. We want to sell them their house. We want to ensure that they've got all the financial service products, insurances, life insurance, home insurance, etc. But through our legal team, we want to start adding everything from power of attorney to wills. So it's really just having, I suppose, a business that can cater for everything within the life journey of what is, the biggest purchase of your life. But we don't all live forever. Of course we don't. So we need to obviously ensure that not just we're allowing people the opportunity to buy houses, but we're also doing the power of attorney and all that kind of stuff, which is not the fun stuff, I suppose, but it's for somebody purchasing a property, it's what's important.
Yeah, very good. So, and what would you say, Craig, to anyone thinking of going into business?
Oh, goodness. Anybody coming into business, I would say, chase your dreams. I think I've seen a survey quite recently that said 75% of people don't just dislike but hate what they're doing in life. And, I think that's a real shame. I think I probably at one time fell into that category. I've been a bit bored and uninspired. But if you are a business owner, then every single day is completely different. You're not just dealing with one aspect of the business, you're dealing with everything. So you everything from an accountant to an operational, to customer services. And it gives you so much skill. It gives you a lot of confidence, and it gives you probably more of what people seek out. for that profession. So I suggest that people go for what their certainly their dreams are. I would always caveat that with being totally planned and focused on what people do, because I think there is sometimes this idea that you can just be lucky going into business, which doesn't always happen. I think there's an awful lot of hard work, a lot of planning. There's probably an awful lot that a new business owner needs to do with communication, whether that's with staff or probably is important, if not more important, is networking and having conversations every day with people that you don't know, because that's how you get your name out there. That's how people get confidence in what you're doing. And a lot of what we do, probably the majority, is word of mouth. So it's really just, set your stall out, figure out what business you want to do, and don't stop talking to people.
Yeah, yeah. No, fantastic advice for those watching this recording and are thinking of going into business. So final question from me, really, Craig, is if you started your business again, what would you do differently?
Oh, my goodness. If I was to start my business all over again, I would certainly not start it during COVID. I think that was definitely a tough one. I think the first year of when we launched, I was really keen to see business coming in straight away. So I got really, really frustrated with the fact that it was taking a bit longer than what I'd expect. At that time, I was probably more in the mindset of a big corporate business that I came from, which is that, business would just come away just because we've opened the doors. And it doesn't work like that. If I was to go back and have that conversation with myself, I would say that you just need a bit of patience. I think I've said before, you need to network. So there's almost, there's a launch, but there's a pre-launch and there's a post-launch of a business, and it can take a while to get it up and running. And we're certainly at that early beginning stage just now, and it's an exciting stage because there's a level of growth and a lot of new exciting projects that we're coming into. But it does take time, and it's just, to anybody starting a business, I would say just have patience and have confidence in your own ability to make things work.
Wonderful. Be patient and keep pushing. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Good. So do you have any news or offers you would like to share with the audience?
Any news?
Or offers, for people that...
Yeah, so I suppose, for me, when I first started, I thought there was a lot of people who were very kind with their time and support. And what I would always urge people to do is, find a mentor or find somebody to talk to. And I suppose for me, I would like to offer support to anybody new either joining. It doesn't have to necessarily be about property. If any of the listeners want to have a conversation with me, then I'd be more than delighted to walk through some of the steps that I've taken and support them in that early life journey.
That's very generous of you, Craig. Well, it's been a real pleasure to have you today on the Spotlight series and for sharing your experience, wisdom, and candor with us today. Thank you so much, Craig.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.